Mark Freuder Knopfler was born in Glasgow, Scotland, on the 12th of August 1949, to Louisa Mary, a teacher, and Erwin Knopfler, an architect. The Knopflers originally lived in the Glasgow area. He was around 7 years old when the Knopfler family moved to Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Mark attended Gosford Grammar School. As a young boy, Mark was inspired by his uncle Kingsley's harmonica and boogie-woogie piano playing. Later, in his teens, he set his heart on an all-too-expensive flamingo pink Fender Strat, just like Hank Marvin's, but in the end, he had to settle for a 50-pound twin pickup Hofner Super Solid. Like lots of other guitar-toting schoolboys of the 1960s, he served an early apprenticeship by forming and joining anonymous schoolboy bands and listening to guitarists such as Scotty Moore, Jimi Hendrix, Django Reinhardt and James Burton. At 16 he made a local TV appearance as half of a harmony duo, along with school friend Sue Hercombe. At school Mark had demonstrated a flair for English, and in 1967, he went to study journalism for a year at Harlow Technical College. At the end of the course he secured a job in Leeds as a junior reporter on the Yorkshire Evening Post. After 2 years he decided to further his studies and commenced a degree in English at Leeds University. Upon graduation in 1973, Knopfler moved to London and joined a band based in High Wycombe called Brewer's Droop, appearing on the album The Booze Brothers. One night, while spending time with friends, the only guitar available was an old acoustic with a badly warped neck that had been strung with extra light strings to make it usable. Even so, he found it impossible to play unless he finger-picked it. He said in a later interview, "That was where I found my voice on guitar." After a brief stint with Brewer's Droop, Mark took a job as a lecturer at Lawton College in Essex, a position he held for 3 years. Throughout this time, he continued performing with local pub bands, including the Café Racers. By the mid-1970s, Mark devoted much of his musical energies to his group, the Café Racers. His brother David Knopfler moved to London, where he shared a flat with John Ilsley, a guitarist who changed over to playing bass guitar. In April 1977, Mark moved out of his flat in Buckhurst Hill and moved in with David and John. The three began playing music together, and soon Mark invited John to join the Café Racers. Mark Knopfler, along with his brother David Knopfler, bassist John Ilsley and drummer Pick Withers, formed Dire Straits in 1977. At the time of the band's formation, Mark was working as a teacher at Art College, Ilsley was studying at Goldsmiths College, and David was a social worker. Mark and Withers had both been part of the pub rock group Brewer's Droop at different points in around 1973. The band's name came from its initial members' financial predicament. The group's first album, Dire Straits, was recorded at Basing Street Studios in Notting Hill, London in February 1978, at a cost of £12,500. Their first single, Sultans of Swing, from their 1978 self-titled debut album, reached the top 10 in the UK and US charts. The band was active from 1977 to 1988, and again from 1991 to 1995. Dire Straits are one of the world's best-selling music artists. Their most commercially successful album, Brothers in Arms, has sold more than 30 million copies. It was the first album to sell 1 million copies on compact disc and is the 8th best-selling album in UK history. Called the biggest British rock band of the 80s by Classic Rock magazine, their 1985-1986 world tour, which included a performance at Live 8 in July 1985, set a record in Australasia. Their final world tour from 1991 to 1992 sold 7.1 million tickets. Dire Straits won 4 Grammy Awards, 3 Brit Awards, Best British Group twice, 2 MTV Video Music Awards, and various other awards. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2018. Dire Straits released their final studio album, On Every Street, in September 1991, before being disbanded permanently. After disbanding Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler embarked on a solo career. His first solo album, Golden Heart, was released in March 1996. It featured the UK single Darling Pretty. The year 2000 saw the release of Knopfler's next solo album, Sailing to Philadelphia. This has been his most successful to date, possibly helped by the number of notable contributors to the album, like Van Morrison. Knopfler's solo live performances can be characterized as relaxed, almost workmanlike. He uses very little stage production, other than some lighting effects to enhance the music's dynamics. He has been known to sip tea on stage during live performances. As a solo artist, Mark has released 9 albums so far. Mark still continues to tour and has stated that he loves touring so much. He also, jokingly, said that he'd be unemployed if he does not tour and doesn't know what else to do. Mark Knopfler has been referred to by some as the quiet man of rock and roll. And that is evident in the way he plays the guitar and in his songs. Knopfler has an evocative and an emotive guitar style. His unique fingerpicking style started to develop on a night when he spent with his friends and found a pretty bad quality acoustic guitar with thin strings and badly curved neck. The only way to make sound enough loud was to use his fingers. Mark Knopfler is originally left-handed, but he plays guitar by right-handed. He told that helped him a lot to bend even 2 strings together by 2 to 3 semitones. Mark was peerless as craftsman and virtuoso, able to plug into rock's classic lineage and bend it to sometimes wild forms. He wrote terrific songs, too. Taught mini dramas of dark depths and dazzling melodic and lyrical flourishes. Mark played 130+ guitars in his life, but he's not a collector. Each and every guitars he owns, about 50, have their role, and he used to play them in various songs. Some of his early guitars were Fender Strats and used very little effects. Later he replaced the Fender guitars by early Schecter Dream Machine Strats until he got his first custom-built guitar, the Pensasur Mk1. The Pensasur Mk1 guitar is fitted with EMG active pickups and a Floyd Rose tremolo bridge. However, Mark has never used the tremolo. Actually, it's fixed by screws to act like a hardtail bridge. He just preferred the Floyd Rose system because of the unbeatable tuning stability. There are 3 signature guitar models dedicated to Mark Knopfler. A Fender Stratocaster Mark Knopfler Signature, a Martin 000-40s Mark Knopfler, and a Martin HD40 MK. Mark also plays the National Tricone and a 1937 National Duolian Resonator. All electric guitars are strung with D'Addario XL 110s, except for one Strat, which is strung with D'Addario XL 115, and the Danelectro, which is strung with D'Addario EJ21. Knopfler have used various amps throughout his musical career. The amps used during the 1970s ranges from a Selmer 2x12 tube amp, Fender Vibrolux, Fender Twin Reverb to a Music Man HD 130. During the 80s, he used mostly Mesa Boogie heads with Marshall 4x12 cabinets with electro voice speakers. Later, Mark's go-to amps was the Soldano SLO 100 with Marshall 4x12 cabinets with electro voice speakers. Mark Knopfler has been married 3 times, first to Kathy White, his longtime girlfriend from school days. They separated before Knopfler moved to London to join Brewer's Droop in 1973. Knopfler's second marriage in November 1983 to Lord Salomon produced twin sons, who were born in 1987. Their marriage ended in 1993. On Valentine's Day 1997 in Barbados, Knopfler married British actress and writer Kitty Aldridge, whom he had known for 3 years. They have 2 daughters. He has been awarded with the Officer of the Order of British Empire for his musical achievements. Knopfler is a fan of his local football club Newcastle United FC. Going Home, theme of the local hero, is used by Newcastle United as an anthem at home games. Knopfler is a collector of classic race cars, and he also an enthusiast race driver. He owns a Maserati 300s and an Austin Healey 100s, and some more vintage race cars. Knopfler was estimated to have a fortune of £75 million in the Sunday Times Rich List of 2018, making him one of the 40 wealthiest people in the British music industry.